Tony Nichols.
Well, thank you, Balaji. We have heard stories about the different passions that Nicholas has developed over the years, about the ties, about the CDs, about the operas, and the list goes on and on and on. There are many stories that I would like to share with you, but in the interest of time, I'll share one. There is in Greece an obscure soccer team called Paneleussiniakos. Not even the Greek people in this audience recognize the name of the team. This is a soccer team from Nicholas' hometown, Eleussina. It's a team that is doing very poorly. Nobody cares about the team. Yet this team is one of the best web pages. It has complete statistics of all soccer games that go back to 1925. Guess who's the webmaster of that web page? It's Professor Nicholas. Well, in recent years, I've received a phone call from Nicholas late in the evening. So now I know why he doesn't call me from 9 to 10. He calls Balaji and then he calls me from 10 to 11. So he called me one night and he said, Tony, do you know what's your age factor? What's the age factor? I never heard of the age factor, so it must be pretty good. So over the years he developed this, in recent years, developed this passion about citations, about age index. I can tell you that he knows the age factor of every single person in this audience, how many citations you have. So when we're thinking about a present for Nicholas in our lab, we didn't know what to get, but in view of his passion, we decided in our lab to get the collection of his most cited papers over the years. So Nicholas has 75 PhD students. Each student has done great, but what we did is that through the ISI Web of Science, we found which one is the most cited paper of each and all of the graduate students that Nicholas has supervised. So we assembled that in that volume, so we feel that it's going to keep him good company during the cold winter nights here in Texas. So Nicholas, on behalf of my lab, I would like to ask Lita Kouda, a graduate student working with me, to present that to you. Congratulations. We wish you all the best and we look forward to more future celebrations of your professional and personal accomplishments. Happy birthday.
Natalie Wisniewski.
So I know most of you here tonight know Dr. Peppas because you were graduate students with him or collaborators with him. I want him to know how much impact he's also had on his undergraduate students. And so for the occasion, I wrote a little poem. And I had concerns as I put it together because I knew I was really supposed to use a blue background that had a little bit of fading with yellow letters and maybe white letters because, of course, Nicholas taught me how to do presentations too. So excuse the graphics here. So Dr. Peppas through the eyes of an undergrad. It was the summer of '91 at Old Purdue, undergraduate research I sought to do. Unto Katie Ekman I did inquire if any professors might want me to hire. Through a lot of luck or God's good grace, she pointed me to your office space. A polymer guru, that was your reputation. I approached you as a freshman with much hesitation. First to Potter Library I went to see what this word polymer meant. then into your office, impeccably systematic. I liked you from the start, passionate and emphatic. Come in, sit down, tell me what do you know? I recited from the chem book I'd read just a night ago. You assigned me to work with Christy Bell to characterize how polyacrylates swell. Into your lab with that monomer smell, my first introduction to a hydrogel. Then you taught my class on reactor design. And to students who were lazy, you were not benign. Wagging your finger, you would forcefully say, at MIT, it is not this way. In your double-breasted suit, into class you would strut. You must learn the basics, no ifs, ands, or buts. Simple math balances you must know. If you can't understand that, back to Kessler you go. And there's Kessler begging that he doesn't get us back. You don't know thermo? How can that be? I never saw such nonsense at MIT. Janitors were grateful to sweep MIT floors. Take advantage of being here, you must learn more. We got a lot of lectures from him, as you could tell. Each night after class, I'd go to bed with visions of rate constants filling my head. First order, second order, third order, oh my goodness, I've got it, linear absorption, I'd cry. You think I'd be dreaming of boys? Oh no, CSCRs, batch reactors, maybe plug flow. Then you pointed me to Ishmael, a Persian star. Countless hours we spent at the FTIR, looking at mucin as it interpenetrates on spin-coated layers of polyacrylates. The spectra had to go through deconvolution, which threw me into mathematical confusion. That's Ishmael and I in 1994, after the AICHE convention in St. Louis. Ishmael had already started at Monsanto. To be a Peppamer, for me, it was fateful. To you and to Ishmael, I am forever grateful. You gave me the basics that would come to be the foundation for my own PhD. Then came your advice on graduate school. Go to MIT, don't be a fool. What? To Duke and BME? At least work with Trusky and MIT Chemie. Okay, I think we all know he's a big MIT fan. So forever I'm going to have this image on a very, very, very tall pedestal at MIT. But I did go to Duke anyway. On me, you made such a lasting impression. 7 languages, the number of CDs in possession. So I don't know if it was really 7 languages, but there were lots of godlike rumors that went around the undergrads about you. So how many languages do you actually speak? Doesn't even know he speaks so many languages, he doesn't even know how many he speaks. Okay, so 7 for now. Okay, you eating spare ribs with a fork and knife, and you having wonderful Lisa as your wife. You love jetting off, I do conjecture, for conferences, consulting, and plenary lectures. Goodies you'd bring us from wherever you went. Parmesan cheese and chocolate from Lindt. And as the years pass, I am always proud to be connected with one who practically walks on clouds, on presidential committees and numerous boards, publications, honors, accolades, and awards. This is a picture of some undergrads looking skyward to catch a glimpse of Professor Peppas walking on clouds and maybe also trying to see to the top of his CV. So that's Brad Sippy, Krista Fitzsimmons, and Jim Lucas there. But the thing for which I have most affection is your desire to keep continued connection. You love to meet friends collected through the years. When we come to chat, you are all ears. You look after your people like an old mother hen, and for that I say thank you again and again. With all those fond memories, I leave you one request. Please keep sharing with the world your life of zest. And if I ever ask for help with polymers, please say yes.
I think that's it in terms of the list of people who told me they would like to speak. We have two other scheduled events, and then a little speech by Nicholas, hopefully, at the end. How about we take another 15 minutes if anybody wants to say anything? Now's your chance. Please. Okay.
I will.
Reina and then Don.
I know a statement in a number of languages, and I'll paraphrase it in English. It goes something like, beside every great and important man stands an equally great and important woman. Please join me to salute Lisa Brown and Peppas. And Nicholas, χρόνια πολλά και καλά και να ξανέρθουμε πάλι να γιορτάσουμε μαζί όλοι. To Nicholas.
Nicholas and I have known each other for 35 years, but we've been close colleagues for the last 6 or 7 years. His office is 2 to 3 doors down from mine, and we're good colleagues, very opposite in many respects. He goes through highs and lows, and I'm fairly constant. So that makes for a good team. He's done a lot with the University of Texas since he's been here. I think we've done a lot for him. So I enjoy our association immensely. Someone said something about intelligence earlier, and my recommendation is that the U.S. government replace Nicholas for the CIA, because if they want to know anything, they should ask him. Because he knows more than they. The FBI included. So anytime I want to know anything, I go ask him. So I'm about 10 years older than Nicholas, and so I just tell him that there's a lot more years to come, and I wish him all the best at this occasion. And I hope that in the end, that he has something to say in response to all of this, and that Lisa as well. So, Nicholas?
It's really wonderful to be here and to congratulate you on this event that you were supposed to make, which you did handsomely. Your accomplishments in the field have been astounding, and I think they've already been very much related to the group. We all, I think, appreciate that you've made phenomenal contributions. It's the small things that you remember. And again, as a younger scientist, Michael alluded to this. I remember one day in a meeting you came over and you flipped my tie over. And I think it said Walmart, if I remember correctly. It's kind of a little taken aback. I never had anybody do that, but as Nicholas has set the standard for sartorial splendor in our field. I owned one good tie. The next day I put it on. It was a Salvatore Ferragamo tie. And I still remember you coming over. It was the second day in a row in a meeting. Come over and flip my tie over. And I could see your eyebrows move up. Maybe I gained a little bit of size in your eyes from that. And I'll always remember that incident, but more than that, I'll always remember 35 years of friendship, Nicholas. We both, I think, met as postdocs in different places, but we had our careers together. We both worked in hydrogels, and Nicholas's friendship for 35 years has been wonderful. Thank you, and congratulations.
My name is Martha Honey. I was an undergraduate researcher at Purdue, graduated in 1982. And we heard today how wonderful Nicholas is, his vision, his energy, his impact, and how the influence is. He's a straight shooter. So I have a true story, an example of this. I came to visit you last summer with my son. I live in Texas, so my son's looking at attending UT. And we started talking, and you explained the school, the pros and the cons, the advantages of engineering over computer science, discussion. And then we got to languages, and that you spoke 7 languages. And my son was pretty impressed and asked what languages. And my son's father is an Israeli, with Hebrew as his first language. And you speak Hebrew. And so my son asked you, why did you learn Hebrew? And you said, well, when I came to the United States to MIT, I heard that all the Jewish girls were loose. This is my 17-year-old son, and he didn't elect to come to UT, so he didn't follow your advice there. He's going to USC, and then 2 weeks ago, he went to orientation, and he came home. And true story, sure enough, his elective next semester is Jewish studies.
Hello, my name is Mariah Hahn, and I know Nicholas more as, I wasn't a Pepper, but I wish I had been. And he's really done, he doesn't just, everyone's commented how much he has done for other people, so not only is he a great scientist, but he goes out of his way for people, and not just for people that have done things for him, but people who really he just wants to recognize and wants to help. And I'll never forget all the help he's given me over the past year, and I just know he does this for so many people, and I don't know how he finds the time to help so many people, but there are a whole group of people very grateful for your help, and he's just amazing. I really appreciate just being in this circle. I'm an honorary Pepper.
Chris? Then Zach, you're up next, and Lisa after that.
So have you feared this moment, Nicholas? There are so many things to say. But I think that the most relevant one is actually not the one that he thinks is coming. So a few years after I was in Colorado, one of my colleagues had several instances where they needed to ask Nicholas for things and interact with him. And had happened several times over a relatively short period of time, and they came to me and they said, I don't know how to handle this situation. And I said, what do you mean? Well, every time I talk to Nicholas, he's just so enthusiastic, and he says, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do this, we need to do that, and I come off the phone and I have 10 things to do. And I said, well, I'll tell you what happened when we were in grad school about these kinds of things. And I guess at the floor of the BME building in Lowell, I couldn't find which ones it is. You have various Nicholas equations that are apparently on the floor of the BME building there where you enter. But what they didn't put on there was something that I'm still not sure Nicholas knows about, but at least in my time, and those who have come after can tell me whether it's persisted or not. We had the Nicholas factor, which was essentially divide everything that Nicholas wants you to do, divide everything Nicholas says by pi. Because his level of enthusiasm, his desire for you to achieve, his goals, etc. for you, are realistically at least 3 times what any other human being could likely achieve, or at the level of maybe even what's really going to happen. And so once you learned that, and I think Omar, who I don't think is here tonight, but Omar did such a great job of presenting that realization, and apparently at least the realization still hits all of Nicholas's first year students in terms of this level of intimidation of what's being asked and the enthusiasm and the excitement that's there. And so I calmly told my faculty colleague that it was all right, and here's how you deal with it, and you just let Nicholas talk for a while, and then you scale it, and life will be good. But I also did warn him that the 3rd time Nicholas said something, he really meant it too. So as a grad student, by the time you get to the 4th time that Nicholas asks you for something, you better have the answer there waiting for it. So I'll close with 2 things. One, because everything's been really way too nice to Nicholas since we started his roast, which is, Nicholas, you're 60 years old now, or about to be, I guess, in 2.5 weeks or thereabouts. That's getting awfully close to the age that at least when I was in grad school, I would have thought was antiquated. So you might want to watch that and figure out what those changes are in your life to make sure that as you make this transition to slightly more senior, that you keep yourself fresh and new and keep your enthusiasm and all the things that we love about you and appreciate about you. And the last thing is just thanks for everything. You have been, for the last 20 years, an incredible friend, colleague, mentor, everything that anyone could ever ask for, and I hope that you've heard that tonight from everybody. It's genuinely appreciated by all those who've come in contact with you. Thanks a lot.
Well, I'll only take a few moments up here, but I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has contributed to the book of letters that we're able to put together. And I'm speaking on behalf of Tony Lohman and myself. Tony unfortunately had to leave this afternoon. And to use a term that I know Nicholas likes to use a lot, I mean, we went first rate. Actually, this is a rough draft, and I want to make note of that because the gold embossed leather-bound edition will still be a couple weeks away. And this gives an opportunity for those of you who were not able to submit a letter or did not submit a letter because of maybe times, travel, etc. You can still submit a letter to Tony Lohman or myself. Ideally send it to both of us electronically. I'll send out a reminder email on that too. But it was a great pleasure to put this together. You probably need to speak 6 languages, 7 languages, etc. to appreciate this entire book. But we were able to get well over 100 letters contributed to this book. And it's a pleasure to present it to Nicholas tonight. Like I said, first-rate version, but the final version will come soon. But anyways, thank you.
Well, we've talked a little bit about all the things that were going on 20 years ago. And I just want to recap for you guys my life 20 years ago, starting yesterday on to about the next 3 weeks. Because 20 years ago yesterday, I got my PhD from Purdue. Then, 3 days later, we had our first wedding in Houston. Then we flew to Zurich to meet Nicholas's family. Then we went to Basel, where he was president of the Controlled Release Society that year. Then we went to Athens to have a second wedding, so that all the family in Greece could be there. Then we flew back in order for him to start classes, which I think started the 24th or 23rd of August. So in typical Nicholas fashion, do everything twice as fast and twice as much as everybody else. It has proven right. I'll go and ask about how he gets all these things done. I'll go in about midnight. He's in his office. Hello? You know, you've got to get up in 6 hours. But I've got to write one more letter of recommendation. but somebody just sent me an email. I've got to do this. But I've got to do this. But I'll be in just a minute. Yeah, fine. So there's one thing he does very, very badly. Say no. He can't say, it's a really simple word. Really, really short. It's the shortest word almost in the world. But he can't do it. Because you guys are as much his family as Katya and Alexei and I. And 10 years ago, I made for him on his surprise party an academic tree. And I have updated it. Had to change the font size. It wouldn't all fit anymore. So let me go get a copy of that so everybody can see it. And everybody rolled up at the exit. Everybody can take their own copy home. Katya and Alexei and I rolled those up last night. So everybody has their own copy. There are 327 names on this that Nicholas has had in his lab, or his academic grandchildren, or great-grandchildren. This doesn't count all the undergrads that have been through. This does not count everybody's families that he has influenced on here. So I think we're talking about, and also all the potential people that none of us will even meet due to companies or products that we have made, that some of his students have made, that may save lives far beyond this tree. So when you talk about George Bailey, It's a Wonderful Life, how many people you've influenced, we're talking about thousands here, easily. And I'm very happy to have been a small part of this. Sometimes a pest in trying to get him to not do so much. It doesn't work. I'm just going to give up. It will never work. He will always keep going at top speed. But then again, I married him because at that point he was the only man who could keep up. He was the only man who could think fast enough. Everybody else was like, oh man, I could be home with a cat. You know, forget this date. I really want to go home. Never had that problem with him. He could still keep up, he could still think fast enough, he could still react fast enough. And so I'll let you know if that changes. But I don't see it happening. So with that, Nico, thank you.
You have the last word.
I have the last word.
Cheers.
I'll take it.
Well, let me ask you, Balaji, how many minutes do you give me before the parking closes?
3 minutes.
Not 3 minutes to thank all these people that came all the way from Hong Kong, like Vince Lee, all the way for this. Thank you guys. I don't know what to say. I mean, for one thing, Lisa caught me by surprise, and since I have only 3 minutes,
No, you don't.
it's incredible. I'm sorry for the voice. I got a cold a few days ago, and I still haven't been able to share it. I don't feel like 60 years old. I don't know if it happens with you sometimes. From inside me looking at you, I feel more like 35. I know it's very difficult to understand that. And, Lisa says that, of course, I'm acting like 10, but, the reality is, I feel, yes, the joints hurt a little bit. The cholesterol is a little bit higher. For the first time in my life, I'm taking pills for cholesterol, and it bothers me. But thank God when you have Katya and Alexei to take care of all the time, and of course Lisa, I hope I will be able to continue as actively. You're all my family, and you don't understand it. And I'll tell you something which will understand also my preference to women graduate students, which nobody pointed out until now, and women undergraduate students. I come from a Greek and German family. They divorced very, very early. And the family had many professors in it, and I wanted to follow them. I didn't know why I became a professor, but it sounded like a good thing to do, since everybody else had been a professor. They divorced when I was 9 years old, and I lived always with women in the house. I would see bras and panties everywhere. There was never anything else in the house. Daddy, of course, kept seeing me rarely, but it was women. My mother was a professor of French literature, and she was extremely influential. So really, when I became independent in 1976, I wanted to help women. I mean, why do you think there's this tremendous love for Jennifer Sinclair, for Christy Hansen, for Barbara Eckert right now, for so many women? I love to see women succeed, because I think they remained suppressed in a European and in an American system for so many years. And for me, it's the greatest pleasure to see Mariah Hunt doing so well. I know Mariah only because she was a former PhD student of Paul Langer, and I love what she's doing at TAMU. They are all my family, and I will continue doing it, and with my present graduate students and with so many others. I think about half of my students from Lucy. My God, Lucy was an incredible student. It was so nice to work with her. She was the first one in 1983. She got about 7 offers from universities, major universities, Yale, Michigan, and so on, which 25 years was really a major thing. And I'm so happy to see her again. I have so many people to thank. First, I want to thank the committee. I want to thank Chris and Christy and Suri and Balaji and Zach and Tony, and of course, Tony Mikos. I mean, this is a very difficult party to put together. You've done such a great job with all the things that you have done. I want to thank my mentors. I want to thank Ed Merrill. I wish he could be here with us tonight. On the 30th of August, he will be 85 years old. Unfortunately, the doctors are afraid that if he flies, something happens to his health. So he's not going to be, but he's going to be there in November to celebrate with us in the 100th centennial, or the 100th anniversary of ASCHE. He's going to take the Excella and be down in Philadelphia. And it's going to be such a great opportunity for fun there, because, I don't know if you know it, there are so many things happening in that meeting. Ed Merrill, like Bob Langer, like myself and many others, has been selected one of the 100 chemical engineers of the modern era. Whatever that means, for Ed, this is really such a great recognition. There is the highest award of ASCHE, and 3 of the 4 people that will get it this year is the highest recognition, the Founders Award, are in the audience right now. Bob Langer, your speaker, and my very dear colleague and very dear friend, Dan Paul, who has done so much for me, so much for this department. In this department, we have somebody called Johnny Maqueta, that some of you know. He's 93 years old. He couldn't come here tonight because one of his grandchildren is getting married. He's going to be tomorrow at home. He will be there from 12 to 2. All those of you who are out of town, come and see why this university is what it is. Come and see a man that if I didn't tell you that his age is 93, you would think that he's 70 years old. Come and see a man that calls every day the alumni to wish them happy birthday. He arrives there before all of us. And I want to imitate him. I told him, I didn't know how to say it explicitly, so I said, John, when you finally get tired, I'd like to take over and start calling the alumni myself. It's really an inspiration. This place, these 2 places have been so incredible for me. The chemical and the biomedical engineering department, they took Lisa and me 6 years ago, and they've given us everything. And we've done everything. I mean, last semester I had the largest group I've ever had in my life, 46 people. This is Langer-sized group. I don't work with Langer-sized groups, you know, but Langer's now 120. He has 5 secretaries. He graduated 10 PhDs in June. I mean, I don't know how he does that. But it's so wonderful that all these people, they're my family. I love them. I love everybody that I have in my laboratory. It's so wonderful to have Brandon, asks you questions every day. And Omar, who does all the crazy things every day, and Diana, and Carolyn, and Maggie, and Marty, and so on. So really, it's such a wonderful place. The biomedical engineering department, Ken Diller is in the audience tonight. They have been so nice to me. It is because of them that I came down here. They were the first ones who asked me. Tremendous colleagues like Giorgio and Keith Johnston and all the young ones, Tom Trask. Do you realize that in this department of chemical engineering, we have gotten 4 Colburn Awards? Now tell me which other chemical engineering department in the country has had 4 Colburn Awards? Tom Edgar, Keith Johnston, and more recently, of course, 2 years in a row, Lynn Liu and Tom Trask. It's incredible to go out in the corridors and talk to these people. Now there's going to be some other reason why we're going to be celebrating in Philadelphia. Lisa is getting the Chemical Engineering Practice Award, which is a major award for ASCHE. Recognizes all her work in industry, mostly her own industry, her own companies, and recognizes, and of course recently she became a fellow of the International Society of Biomaterials. So really this is another incredible opportunity because Lisa has been a great mother, has been a great partner, and at the same time has been a great researcher and a leader. She was perhaps the youngest director of ASCHE at the age of 30 or 31, and the younger treasurer of Controllerly Society and so on. I want to thank all of you. I don't want to put specific days, but it is so great to see Richard Kursmeyer and Lucy Hare laughed at that time. I mean, this goes back 30 years. I'm sorry that Todd Gare and Bill Bussing are not here. They were the ones who started the laboratory at 76. Both of them became major leaders. Todd Gare is now chief of nephrology at Virginia Commonwealth, and Bill Bussing is vice president of BP in Singapore. Really great guys, but then there was a hiatus of 2 years. In 1978, as I had promised my mother, I decided to return to Greece. I was only 29 years old. That's why I didn't have many students. If you see, there are not many students from the period 76 to 79. I applied at the National Technical University in a very nice procedure, very, very proper. The document, I still have it, and I was looking at it the other day, 120-page minutes of the faculty to decide whom they hire. They didn't hire me. It didn't bother me that they didn't hire me. I was 29 years old. 30 years ago, the Greek system was very hierarchical. What bothered me is Professor Bandeka, who said, the reason that he publishes a lot because he wants to become a professor at the National Technical University. And once he becomes a professor, then he would stop publishing. Well, I thank Professor Bandeka and whoever else wrote these minutes for doing this service to me. If it weren't for them, I would be now a middle-aged, balding, complaining, smoking Greek in an apartment in a smoky city like Athens, complaining that I have nothing to do. Instead, I have all of you. And it's really incredible. In September of '78, you know what happened? I took 6, 7 students, including people like Lucy, and then Richard a little bit, and many others that you didn't see today. In '82, I went to sabbatical in Geneva. That was another change. Already with Richard, we started doing the first control release. In '82 in Geneva, I learned pharmacy. I started learning pharmacy. As I tell Vince and Keenan, I have never really learned pharmacy. And anybody in the audience who is not a pharmaceutical scientist, who says, I know pharmacy, is really not telling us the truth. It's very difficult to learn pharmaceutical sciences. But Robert Gurney and the others really taught me. We came back in '83, we had another major group. You met them, you met many of them. And then in '88, another group. Every time I was going to sabbatical, I was coming back with great new ideas. Now, these was the days, of course, that I was not married. Lisa came to the laboratory in '84. The relation was never really particularly pleasant. Especially became very unpleasant in 1987 when I interviewed at Columbia as head of the department. I came back, I called everybody else in my office and I said, I'm considering going to Columbia. John Clear was the only one who said, oh, of course I'm coming with you, no problem. New York, he's from East Coast. Lisa said, are you really leaving? Tell me tomorrow morning I'm leaving and going to another professor. Anyway, I'll tell you a little story and then I will conclude with something more current. In 1987, it's a story about how Lisa and I met, which I think very, very few of you know. In November of 1987, American Airlines had a special campaign, and it said, you can get a free ticket for 30,000 miles to Europe, or, a free ticket to Europe for 30,000 miles and $400, or 2 free tickets for 100,000 miles, something like that. So I thought about it, well, 2 tickets is better because I don't have to pay the $400. Who comes with me next to buy? I mean, I'm not throwing away the second ticket. So I went immediately to Tony Nicholas and I said, Tony, would you like to go with me to Paris? It was November, end of December, something like that. Would you like to go to Paris, have France, have the Paris Sud? It would be a great opportunity. He says, are you going to pay for my hotel? No, I'm not going to pay for your hotel. I mean, you're getting a free ticket. What hotel? You know? So then I said, I went to Alex Scranton. Alec, would you like, Alec is the associate dean at the University of Iowa. Are you come with me to Paris? Paris? Europe? Are you kidding me? Alec had never been to Europe, and this was really very strange. The third choice was Lisa. I went to Lisa and I said, Lisa, I will tell you something. Would you like to come with me to Paris? But please tell your mother. Ask your mother first. Why? You call me old-fashioned. That's fine. I mean, this is a woman. I mean, it's a different story. You have to ask mommy. Here she is in the audience. So Lisa says, I pretended that I asked my mother, but of course I'm coming to Paris. So I arranged for her to give a seminar. I gave a seminar at the University of Paris. We were there for 4 days and she absolutely hated it. It was rainy, I loved it, fall in Paris, are you kidding me? You can hear Le Feuille Mort of Brevet. Very nice, Lisa didn't like it. Also there was terrorist activities and they had closed all the bathrooms, so she couldn't go to any public bathroom. Had to go back to the hotel. The third or fourth day I said, shall we go out to dinner? And that was December 16th, 1987, and that was our first date. The rest is history. When we finally decided to get married in March of '88, I went to Reclitis. Reclitis was shocked. You couldn't do that anymore today. I mean, it would have been a scandal today. Nobody would have allowed it. Rex Reclitis was very smart. Immediately he asked to be placed as the chairman of the committee of her thesis so that she didn't have to start a new thesis. The thesis went very well. He gave her a hard time at the thesis defense, as he should have done, because, otherwise we would have had problems. And the rest, you have the history and so on. So that changed my life. The pre-Lisa period was a period of, I would say, good work, but the post-Lisa period is a period of absolutely incredible work. And we worked together on many, many subjects. And Lisa changed my life because I stopped doing animal experiments. As you know, I never killed an animal since then because she's very strict about it. The most we can do is cells. But I believe it as well. But it changed my life in many, many other ways. And then, of course, 10 years later, we decided that awards and things are fine, but 2 little kids are also great. So Katya and Alexis came. And Alexis for the Greeks, Alexi for the Americans. I will never explain that. Alexis is in Greek, Alexis is a male name, but in English it's not. So when we write Christmas cards, we always have Christmas cards for the Greeks, where his name appears as Alexis, and Christmas cards for the Americans and the Europeans, where the name appears as Alexi. I am absolutely delighted to see all of you here today. What can I say? For me, I mean, having people like Jennifer come back after, it's exactly as she told you, after 25 years. Christy, Ansett, Natalie, I thank you for coming. All the young ones, Zach and Jay and Bob Parker, we solved so many problems together. And also people with whom I haven't worked together, but I've written together. Like Ali Qudam Hussain, who is one of the brightest stars, Harvard Medical School, with whom we met through Bob and through Mike. And now we write some of the most powerful papers in the field. And many others. And I have all the names, and I wanted to mention all the names, but I don't want to overdo it, okay? We'll go half an hour. You know how much I love you. There were some very big surprises. Lisa was telling me who was coming, but not all the names. After a few weeks, he said, no, I cannot tell you anymore. The rest is surprise. And of course, for me, it was a surprise to see Rachel Lennox Mace. Rachel was a 1982 graduate. She was in the laboratory. It was a love at first sight. We worked extremely well together. I remember from which high school she graduated and so on. She became effectively professor of pediatrics at Vanderbilt, and we have kept together. I saw her for the first time after 25 years. But every year we exchange cards and so on. So Arvid, if you ever need a Johnny Maqueta for Purdue, maybe you can use me also for Purdue, you know. And Martha Honey, and so many others. Another one that was a surprise to see again was Hunter Lawton. I didn't expect Hunter to be here. She's now at Harvard. And many others that cannot be here for other reasons, like Bro Rao, who just had the last, Grand Peppamer. She gave birth just 7 days ago. I want to close with 2 or 3 other things. Bob and Mike have been my brothers, along with an Italian brother called Paolo Colombo, who cannot be here today because in Italy, you know, in Europe, if it's August, you're on vacation. You're not in the United States. Rush for Peppas, come on. I understand that. Paolo is my Italian brother. But Mike and Bob have been brothers for me. I mean, through the very early days, we had no clue whatsoever that someday we would be making the decisions for the biomaterials work. No idea. We were 3 kids, 1 Canadian, 1 from Upper New York State, and 1 from Greece, trying to go through the MIT program and learn. But we had the enthusiasm about helping patients. That I remember, since those early days. Of the 3 of us, Mike was always the more mathematical. I mean, his mathematical background was exceptional. I was not the mathematical one. I don't know how I turned out to be the other way. Bob was always the quiet one. All of us who were playing ping pong in the basement, all of us were going to Cabot's, of course, for ice. You know that by now. And they have done so well. You know, for Bob Langer, I don't know what to say. I mean, you know, the Millennium Prize, which is the equivalent of the Nobel Prize for technology, 1.2 million euro, no, 800,000 euros, which he got from the president of Finland a few weeks ago, is the combination of activities. I mean, you know, the man has received everything. He's going to go for the Prince of Asturias Award in a few months in Oviedo that he will get from the King of Spain, and so many others, 14 honorary doctorates and so on. For me, still Bob. Still Bob, and I can give him a really hard time and he doesn't dress very well. And Mike Sefton is my nemesis. Mike Sefton is the one who, when I say something, he will look at me and say, Nicholas, you better read biology. That's not very correct, okay? And Mike, as you probably know, this year got the Killam Prize from Canada. 100,000. I would say Canadian dollars, but these days Canadian dollars and American dollars is the same thing, which is the highest prize in Canada. He's a member of the Royal Society and so on. What a pleasure to have friends like that. And I'm telling you, the rest of you, the young ones of you, look around the table. 20 years ago, you would be in the same situation. Why? Because you can do it, and because you want to do it. That's it. Why do we want to do it? Because in my field, in our field, we want to help patients. And I've said that millions of times. We don't do what we do for the money. You're wrong if you think that. We do it because we want to help patients. We want to see these poor women who take injections 1 a week for multiple sclerosis and suffer for days to be able to take a pill and go around. Bob solves little kids that are burned over 60 and 70% of their body by creating new tissues. Mike has given tremendous solutions for diabetes, totally new solutions based on encapsulated beta cells and so on. That's why you do it. Why you do it. Rob Scott was telling you earlier about the intraocular lens. When I was working with Alcon on the intraocular lens, I helped in a minor possibility in development, in improvement of the lenses. You know where it hit me? When all people came to me and they said, thank you for what you did to my vision. Because of you, and it was not because of me, it was millions of people, hundreds of people that were working on the project. Because of you, I can see 2020 again. You gave me back my vision for the rest of my life. So what is it that excites us? That's what excites me. That's what excites Bob. and Mike, and all of you in the audience who are much more in the biomedical sciences. And those of you who are chemical sciences, with the tremendous and energy problems that we have, I think what excites you is that you are going to hopefully solve the energy problem. Coming back to the end, Purdue has been a very, very good place for me, there is no doubt. And I think they should be very proud that many of the people who spoke to GA today, they are here are Purdue graduates. UT, of course, should be equally excited because I think there are 77, hopefully there are 77 PhDs here. And I think 59 of them were from Purdue, or due to the Purdue Times, and 18 from UT. I don't know how I did it. Maybe the professors didn't, my colleagues didn't understand that the students are graduating so fast. But a lot of students who graduate already have become professors because it's a wonderful environment. It's a scholarly environment where everything is available to you, where you can do great work. So this is really my final message. Thanks to Purdue, thanks to the University of Texas. It's not Purdue's blame. There came a time when both Lisa and I were getting a little bit bored with Indiana, all due respects. And we decided that it was time to move. Texas A&M went after us, Rice went after us, Georgia Tech went after us. In fact, as you probably know, I was a finalist for Dean of Engineering at Georgia Tech. Dan Giddens got the offer. It was announced to me while we were on Maui on vacations for the US-Japan meeting with Bob Langer. I was devastated. I thought that was the end of the world. 10 days later, Rebecca Richards-Gordon, January of 2002, calls me and said, I'm calling you on behalf of me and Georgio. We would like you to come down to the University of Texas and consider the possibility of moving. Would you like to? I didn't want to say yes, please. So I said, yeah, I would like to consider it. We called immediately the big chef, who is my mother-in-law. And mother-in-law said, oh, Austin is even better than Houston. I think you should consider it. The rest is history. Ken Diller picked me up from the airport in a pickup truck. He took my luggage and he put it in the back of the pickup truck. I never told him that that was not a very good first impression for somebody. But you see, he still wears, however, a bow tie, so he is a good dresser. Never. And at UT, I've seen a totally different world, and as I said, I mentioned already the names. But again, I want to go back. It's the mentors, it's the friends. Another great friend was Rena Bizier. With Rena, we were postdocs. We could never imagine we would meet again. She was actually a graduate student, I was a postdoc at Clark Cotton's laboratory. And here we are, 35 years later, she's the Peter Flown professor. For those of you who are from UT, you recognize who Peter Flown is. Peter Flown professor of bioengineering at the University of Texas in San Antonio, and I'm delighted she's here. And, you know, I don't want to single out those that went to academia. Rob Scott and John Clear and all the others, I love you equally, and Lucy Hare, I love you as equally well as those who went to academia. But people like Tony Mikos and Chris Bowman and Chris Janssen, I feel very proud of what they've done. And people like Balaji Narasimhan and Surya Pragad and so on, it's part of my being. Don't be so negative with me when sometimes I say that I love the academics. But I allow them to be very practical and to do things that will help the world. A few last comments. I'm not a pharmaceutical scientist, but I'm so delighted to see Vince Lee and Keenan Park in the audience. Most of you don't know them as well as others. There was this incredible pharmaceutical scientist called Joe Robinson, with whom I was a very good friend at the University of Wisconsin. We lost him 2 years ago at the age of 65, 67. And these two men are two of his former PhDs. Keenan has now the Schumpeter professorship that I had at Purdue. And Vince, of course, is a grand professor, both of them. These two men run the three most powerful journals in the field: Journal of Control Release, Advanced Drug Delivery Reviews, and Pharmaceutical Research. So I'm delighted they are in the audience. And I'm delighted about all the young ones that are here. Even the undergraduates, Isis Trenchard, who is going in September to Stanford, Monica Richards, who is staying with us, and of course Barbara. Talking to you about Barbara Eckert, I mean, I think it's deja vu over again. I think I'm back in the days of Jennifer Doloriso. For you and for all of you, Jennifer Curtis. When Barbara joined my group, as at the end of her freshman year, I could see the sparkle. I gave her a difficult problem. At the end of the summer of her freshman year, we had a patent. My patent was assigned to a company. We've been together for 2 years. Her dad left. He's not here to hear it. She's the daughter of John Egger, but she reminds me of the only others. So all of you, thank you, but from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to Laura Serra. Thank you to Irma Sanchez, who came from Monterrey for this. These were the so-called visitors who came and stayed and did their PhDs with me. They graduated from the Tecnológico in Monterrey or from the Universidad Barcelona. So if you're Catalan, you say Barcelona, you say Barcelona. They graduated, but they're my kids. Thank you all. It has been a pleasure. I love you all. I love my family. I thank my sisters in Greece, my sister Luisa, my half-sister Maria, couldn't come here today. My nephews, Vasilis and Katerina, and of course Alice. And my mother-in-law, my father-in-law, Pat and Tony, who are here. And of course, Lisa and Katya and Alexis. Thank you very much.
Folks, that's it. I think the parking garage is open. Well, thanks again for coming. It's been a real blast. And good night, everybody.
Happy birthday, Nicholas. We wish you much happiness and success for the many years to come.
It's rather short. Nicholas, is the sound okay? Nicholas, I didn't get much time to talk with you tonight, but just wanted to say thank you for everything. Your friendship, your mentorship have been very important to me. I've learned much from you, and a large amount of my success is due to you. And I hope to have many great years with you to come. So thanks for everything. And obviously tonight we heard you've affected a large number of people and their families, and I can tell you that you've affected our family quite dramatically. And thank you for everything.
Nick, I just want to congratulate you again on your 60th birthday celebration. For me to hear all of the talks by your students, and your postdocs and your colleagues tonight, it's just been thrilling. And actually, I thought the talk you gave at the end was just so touching. I loved hearing it, both the philosophy, actually I learned a lot of things. I didn't even know that story about Tony and the hotel and Lisa, and I mean, I just thought everything was terrific, and it's just such a wonderful event, and just honored to just be a part of it. And really, you've just been such a wonderful, wonderful friend, and I just couldn't be more pleased to be here today. Thanks, Nick, and congratulations.